Today I want to speak to you about how to find new business and new clients. You know, the economy is maybe a little bit tough for some of the organizations out there right now, and there's two things that every organization has got to do with their sales forces. The one is you have got to look after your clients better than ever before. In fact, how well do you know your clients? Here's a little exercise for all of you. Write down the names of your 10 top clients and then write down 10 things that you know about them. Be interesting to see how much you know about those top clients. The second thing is we've got to go out there and proactively look for new business. Gone is the days of order taking and just waiting for the phone to ring. Unless you're an incredible company, that's not going to happen. We've got to go out there and find the new business. And we've got to try so many different ways. So let's have a look at some of them. Well, the first thing is, well, they used to call it cold calling, but nowadays we call it warm calling. You know, if you've got a gap in the diary as a salesperson, you can fill that gap. Pick up the phone one of your existing clients, phone a referral, get on and phone somebody, send out a brochure and follow up with a phone call. You've also got to look at the psychology of words. And in fact, while you're watching right now, let's have a little bit of fun. What I want you to do is write down the following things. The first thing is any number between 1 and 10. Secondly, a color, a piece of furniture, a flower, and what about a vegetable? Let's take a look at the results. Did any of you have 7 for a number between 1 and 10? The color of red? What about a table or a chair for a piece of furniture? A rose for a flower? And a carrot for a vegetable? People are conditioned to words. You've got to think about the words you use when you get onto the phone. You've got to think about the words you use on your website. If your website is just a brochure that's been pasted there that says, we're fantastic, we're wonderful, it's absolutely useless. Because clients are coming in there, they're saying, how can you solve my problems? How can you help me? Every organization says they're the best at what they're doing. How can you become more client-centered? So the first thing you've got to think about is what kind of words can you actually use when you're phoning your clients. Now, the second thing you've got to do is get referrals from all of your top clients. Don't get referrals from your worst clients. What you're going to do is just get more worst referrals. But you've got to know when and how to ask for referrals. The way not to ask is, do you enjoy working with our company? Yeah, it's wonderful. Have you got any names for me? Well, that's a yes or no answer. And what are they going to answer? They're going to answer no, but in a nice way. It's going to go something like this. Can't think of anyone right now. So you've got to add, who do you know? One of the easiest ways I find for asking for referrals is just, if we had to swap jobs today, who would be the first 3 people that you would call? Now, here's another thing you've got to do. Go and join an organization called Toastmasters International. It's the world's biggest self-development non-profit organization. It teaches you public speaking skills. And what you then do is you go and you speak at conferences. Now, what you've got to do with your business is have a look at your clients. What kind of associations or trade bodies do they belong to? Now, all of those associations and trade bodies have meetings once a year. They have a big conference, and they're always looking for specialist resources, which of course you are. Now you put yourself forward, you go to that association, you're speaking to maybe 1,000 people at the same time. You're there for 4 days mixing with your potential clients. You're having supper with them, you're having coffee with them. Isn't it easy then when you get back to the office to pick up the phone and speak to them? I just recently come from Hungary, where I spoke to the Chemical Association. 300 top CEOs. Now, if you're in the chemical industry, you're selling to them, what better way of getting in front of your potential clients? What about social and sports clubs? You know, I moved over to the UK from South Africa 16 years ago, and I had to find new clients. Now, I only like big corporates and wealthy people. So what do? I joined a golf club. Wealthy people play golf. I found the best social clubs. Cost a lot of money to join, but I joined those because people buy from people that they like, they trust, and that are similar to themselves. And they would rather buy from someone that they're playing tennis or they're playing golf with than someone they don't know or a cold call coming through on the phone. What about centers of influence? Now, a center of influence is someone that may never buy from you, but they like you, they trust you, and they will be passing on leads to you. How do you develop centers of influence? Some of my best centers of influence have been the secretaries or the receptionists at companies where I've formed incredible relationships with them, and boy, they've given me so much business. The next thing is just personal observation. When you're driving around, if you're in the building industry, where are there new sites going up? If you're in the recruitment industry, where are there new sites going up? So just have that personal observation all the time. Another thing I do is I like to speak to CEOs. When I talk about CEO marketing, there's many, many organizations all over the world now where they have 10 or 20 CEOs that get together once a month, and they look for a specialist resource, which could be you, that is speaking to them about how to increase business, how to have better customer service. So whatever you're selling, you get in front of these people. You've got 3 hours to chat to them. In the afternoon, they all speak to each other, and there are incredible organizations. I work with about 4 or 5. That's where 50% of my work is done, and 90% of my business comes from. So that moves on to networking. Now, networking is great, and again, it depends on the kind of business that you're in. You've got to be networking in the places where the right people are going to be buying your services. So for me, I'm a speaker. I like to speak at big company conventions and conferences or train at big companies. For my local Chamber of Commerce, which is fantastic, I'm not going to find those kinds of people. I'm going to find those more in the CEO networking organizations that I work with. But equally, you may be a small company and your local Chamber of Commerce, Business Link, whatever it is, may be the ideal place for you to go and network. Where do you meet the wealthiest people on earth? Well, you know, some of the wealthiest people give to charities and they belong to non-profit or charitable organizations. Pay your £200 and go along, and you'll be seated with 10 other people that may be some of the wealthiest people in the country. You're sitting with them, you're making eye contact, you're talking to them. Once again, it's so easy then to pick up the phone. You see, what I'm really saying is get in front of the traffic, get in front of the people that you should be mixing and speaking to. And there's so many different ways of doing it. Of course, the internet and websites are incredible ways of generating new business, and in the next module I'll be telling you how you can do that there. Also think about professional connections, and one more thing is what I call the swap club. Now, a swap club, think about your potential clients. Who else sells to your potential clients that is not any competition to you? I'll give you an example. Some time ago, I worked with an organization that sold guns. I worked with a sales force. I said to them, who do you sell to? Well, we sell to armies all over the world. We sell to generals. What else do they buy? Well, they buy tents. They buy boots. They buy uniforms. I said, okay, you now phone the sales reps of those different companies. Once a month, you get together, you have a breakfast meeting, and you have a swap club. You're not in competition. Now imagine what happened. They get together, the guy from the boots company says, oh, you know, I've just done some business in Dubai. Here's a general I can refer you to. The guy from the tent company says, here's someone I can refer you to. And all of a sudden they have incredible synergy. So that's just a few ways of going out and finding new business and clients.